right, Shino. Shino.
What's it tomorrow?
All right, I'm just telling you. But when you're going there for lunch,
Right, we're minutes to
have no
7.
breakfast. Have no dinner the evening before I just,
I don't know where the sat bar.
I don't mind. Because you're going next, aren't you?
Yeah.
Or we can swap. Oh.
We'll do it on a Friday.
No, you don't do it.
Back.
No, it's because there's fire exit. There's a fire exit on the right. There's some chairs. You want some chairs?
Just tell somebody else.
You can go and get some chairs.
everyone, all of these personal things. They apply for Prime. If I could check for them for Prime, this, that, those.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Okay, so we're going to start early. We're going to start 10 minutes early. So we've got some more time for some questions. Okay? So, my name is Brian Lewis. So I'm the chairman of Wimco, and this is our humble dwelling. So we manage this Hilltop Centre, and we've managed it for 20 odd years. So I want to welcome you guys to our humble abode. I want to welcome the Prime Minister and his lovely wife as well. They get formally introduced soon. The High Commission and Deanne Stapleton as well. So a bit of housekeeping in terms of the fire exits. There's no drills, so if you hear a fire alarm, you have to exit. So we've got exits here, exits at the back, and through here as well. In terms of the toilets, the men's and the ladies and disabled are down the corridor. So help yourself. And there's a bar, should you get thirsty, or you need some snacks, and we're going to actually serve some food later on as well. So you can purchase some food as well. So quickly about Wimco, the charity. So recently we've received funding from the National Lottery to £300,000, which is $1 million EC dollars, over 5 years. So that's a significant amount of money for us. So, and the reason they've given it to us because we want to support the community, and we've been doing that and developing that through many years. So we've got the movers and shakers for the elderly every Friday for 4 hours. We've got Saturday school for kids that want to get some extra tuition. We have GCSE revision courses. We send books to the SVG schools in I can't remember, Georgetown, was it? And we recently raised £20,000 to the hurricane relief, and we delivered goods to Nemo within 5 days of the appeal that went out. So Wycombe is a population of 9,600 people, and most of those are St Vincent. So, African Caribbean people, there's 9,600 of us, and most of those are from St Vincent. So, and believe it or not, we're growing as a population. We are growing. I believe we are the largest diaspora outside of St Vincent. So, hence why we have it here. Okay, before I introduce Deanna Stapleton, who's the chairperson of the National Council, I'd like to invite Reverend Rosemarie Artman to say a prayer, if we can all stand.
Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you. We thank you for this opportunity that we can come into your presence. We thank you, Lord, in the name of Jesus, for bringing our Prime Minister and his beautiful wife over the shores to this room, this very room where we will be talking and they will be talking about the things of St. Vincent. We thank you, Lord, for the beautiful island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We thank you, Lord, for your mercies, for you have protected St. Vincent and the Grenadines even through the storm. We thank you, Lord, for the friends that you have sent over to support us, our beautiful island of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We thank you that you will give us victory in the mighty name of Jesus, victory in everything we do. We thank you, Lord, as you continue to bless the Prime Minister who has been selected by God to lead this beautiful country of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Thank you for the people also. Thank you for the land. Thank you for the sea. Thank you for the air. Thank you, Lord, for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Amen. I will now sing the national anthem. Can you all please stand? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. St. Vincent, land so beautiful, with joyful hearts we pledge to thee our loyalty and love, and vow to keep you ever free. Whate'er the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. Haruna, fair and blessed are your mountains, high, so clear and green, are home to me, though I may stray, a haven come serene. Whate'er the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. Our little sister islands are those gems, the lovely Grenadines, upon their seas and golden sand, the sunshine ever beams. Whate'er the future brings, our faith will see us through. May peace reign from shore to shore, and God bless and keep us true. Bless you.
All right.
Right. Honorable Dr. Ralph E. Gonsalves, Mrs. Gonsalves, High Commissioner, His Excellency Senior Lewis, Brian Lewis, Chair of WMCO, MP from High Wycombe, Emma Reynolds, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. As Brian just said, I am Deanna Stapleton. I'm the chairperson of the National Council of St Vincent and the Grenadines Associations here in the UK. The National Council is an umbrella organization for all the associations throughout the UK. Our mission is to inspire, to continue togetherness and culture. It is my honor to welcome each and every one of you here this evening. I will now like to call on the Labour MP for High Wycombe to say a few words. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Honourable Prime Minister and dear Lady Wife Eloise, High Commissioner. I'd like to say a big thank you to all of you for inviting me here, and it's great to see so many here to see the Prime Minister. I'm the Wmart Pact, by the way. And it's a great pleasure to welcome the Prime Minister here to High Wycombe, because I feel like I know him, because I attended an event a year and a half ago where the Prime Minister gave a fantastic video message, and you were so big on the screen there. I feel like I've already met you and shaken your hands before this evening, but it's a great pleasure to welcome you to High Wycombe. I'm the relatively new, I think I can still call myself the newly elected MP for Wycombe, the first Labour MP since 1951, 73 years. And I'd like...
We shall re-elect her next time. On condition that she represents us well.
I'm honoured to have that endorsement. And I'd just like to say a big thank you to all of those here who live locally, who have voted Labour for many decades. I know some people in the crowd here who have voted Labour almost thanklessly, because it never seemed like we'd ever get a Labour MP. So I'm really honoured to be here as the newly elected Labour MP for Wycombe. And I know that in High Wycombe we have certainly the largest diaspora of people from St Vincent and the Grenadines, certainly in the UK, but I think you were saying in the world, which is fantastic. And we know that people came to High Wycombe to work in the furniture making industry, which is obviously a very proud industrial heritage that we have. And we know that people came to contribute to other businesses too, to the NHS, to education, to charities, and many other sectors in Wycombe. And we have relied on the work and the generosity and the contribution of the diaspora here for many, many decades. So I'm really proud of the strong bond that there is between High Wycombe and St Vincent and the Grenadines. And I hope that one day, perhaps my parliamentary duties will take me to St Vincent and the Grenadines. For now, I've only seen photos and videos, but I was very enthused by what I saw. A beautiful, beautiful country. And by the way, a beautiful national anthem. Really, really beautiful. So I know that High Wycombe nurtures many teacher and youth exchanges between High Wycombe and St Vincent and the Grenadines. I think we had the first steel pan school in the UK to offer formal accreditation here in High Wycombe, and Brian has already spoken about the project that you've got National Lottery Heritage funding for, so congratulations, and I think that will make a big, big difference to the local community here. And I also just wanted to say a few quick words about an exhibition that I went to recently, which was curated by Estelle Williams, MBE. I don't know if she's here with us this evening, but for Black History Month at the All Saints Parish Church, Estelle had curated an exhibition setting out the wonderful food and traditions and history of St Vincent and the Grenadines, and also her incredible story of coming here to work as a nurse and setting up the Haroon Centre for the Elderly from the Caribbean, and all the things that she's done, and obviously been recognised by our royal family for the contribution that she has made to our society. So I wanted to say a big thank you to Estelle, and I know that there are many others in the diaspora like Estelle who have made such a fantastic contribution to the cultural and community and societal and society here in High Wycombe. Last year, as I was saying, I attended the St Vincent and Grenadines Emancipation Service and Celebration, and of all the time I was a candidate before getting elected, this was my most memorable and enjoyable evening. Apart from seeing you up on the screen, Prime Minister, we also had some great music, we had some fantastic speeches, we had some prayers, and we had some delicious food too. So I think that is all probably what you're going to get tonight too, by the sounds of it. So thanks again. I hope that one day I will have chance to travel to your wonderful country. And it is a great honour and pleasure to have the Honourable Prime Minister with us this evening. Thank you again. Thanks very much.
It is now part of her parliamentary duties. The Prime Minister of St Vincent and the Grenadines has now issued a formal invitation
Oh, wonderful.
to the Member of Parliament for High Wycombe, our first MP for 73 years. She has to come home.
Thank you so much.
Okay?
Thank you.
And
I appreciate it.
you can tell my dear brother, Keir Starmer, that is unanimous.
I'll let him know tomorrow.
Let it be done.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Emma Reynolds. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, how are we feeling? Are we good? Well, let's encourage MP Emma Reynolds to visit St Vincent and the Grenadines. What did Beckett say? I love me St Vincent. Come on, Miss Sweet Little Island, St Vincent. St Vincent and the Grenadines. I love you. There you go, Emma. You're welcome at any time. It will be our pleasure. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you to put your hands together and welcome our esteemed High Commissioner, His Excellency, Senior Lewis. Thank you.
Well, I don't even know what to say after that. But I'll try. Distinguished guests, nationals and friends, ladies and gentlemen, may I join the host of this evening's event, Brian and the WIMCO, in welcoming you to this event. I am aware that today is Monday evening, as it were, and many of you have been to work and probably will be back to work tomorrow. So your presence here this evening is truly appreciated. In particular, too, I wish to thank the Honourable Emma Reynolds, your local MP, for being here. I know that because of her duties, she has had to make a special effort to be here. Give her a round of applause, please. And also, may I take this opportunity to congratulate you, Emma, on your appointment as Parliamentary Secretary for the Treasury. I think there's money there somewhere. But and also Parliamentary Under Secretary of State for Pensions since July 2024. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, my task this evening is to introduce our honored guest who will address us. But the fact is that he hardly needs an introduction, as he is so well known, both domestically, regionally, and internationally. So what I had to do was to pick a year. And you might be surprised, but may not be. I picked the year 2001, when he led his party, the Unity Labour Party, to victory in the country's general election and was appointed Prime Minister. Since then, he has won every successive general election. If you're wondering why he has been able to do so, I have a simple answer, and it is that the people of St Vincent and the Grenadines has confidence in his leadership and the vision he has for the development of St Vincent and the Grenadines. I hardly need to tell nationals in the UK of the developments in St Vincent and the Grenadines since 2001. I know you keep a close eye on what is being done by the government to develop our beautiful country. But I do think sometimes we overlook or take it for granted what has been achieved since 2001. I won't go through a long list, as that will take all this afternoon, and you might have to go home tomorrow morning. But just to jog your memory, I will name a few things on that list. One of them is the bridge over what we used to call the Dry River, and still call it the Dry River. You know, no longer has the people who live beyond the Dry River to the north of the island has to worry when rains come, because they can pass over the bridge that was built since 2001 for them to do so. Today, Vincentians, they march into Heathrow, Terminal 3. You get on the Virgin Atlantic and you head home. No longer do we have to worry about whether our baggage would reach Barbados. Nothing against Barbados, huh? Or whether when it gets to Barbados, whether it will reach home. All you know you have to do is to get to Terminal 3, get your ticket, get on the flight, and you're straight home. What a wonderful achievement. I did not even think. I never thought that would happen in my lifetime. But it has. And then we've had the education revolution. I won't go into that, just to tell you. The Prime Minister will probably tell you all about it. I'll just leave that because you know about the education revolution. I always, sometimes, I've mentioned this before to our Prime Minister, I wish I was a schoolboy and he was Prime Minister, then my education would be a lot better than now. And to add to all that, our Prime Minister provides homes for low-income families. What a wonderful thing to do. I could go on, but I won't. I'll stop there. But I thought I would mention these just to jolt your memory, because there are times when time erodes one's understanding sometimes of what has gone on. I mean, the understanding is there, but you tend to forget. I just wanted to remind you. Now, I have only been given 3 minutes by the chairperson, and my 3 minutes is coming very close to finish. But I'm using a slow watch. But I wish this evening to encourage you all, nationals in particular, but friends also, to do two things. One, to read the address to the nation by our honored guest on its 45th anniversary. Just Google it. You will find that the address is an embodiment of vision and hope for our country's future. Secondly, I would encourage you to read our honored guest's book, the title of which is called A Time of Despair. In it, you will find much food for thought. In that book, he appeals to us, and I will quote the appeal, as it were. We have to look out for one another to the best of our ability. I'll repeat the words because I think they mean so much. We have to look out for one another to the best of our ability. In these difficult times, those words demand serious reflection. Indeed, if I were a philosopher, and I'm not, I would venture to suggest that those very words underpins the contribution that our honored guest consistently makes within the vision he has for the advancement of our people. Now, I should really end here, otherwise the chair would throw me out. But I can't do so without, on your behalf, express my thanks to Mrs. Gonsalves, the Prime Minister's spouse, who gives support to our honored guest as he labors in the vineyard for our nation. Give Mrs. Gonsalves a round of applause. And now, as I look down into the audience, I can see some restlessness in the audience. It's a sign which tells me to be quiet. I know. I know you have come here not to listen to me, but to hear what our honored guest has to say. I, too, want to hear what he has to say. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and indeed a privilege to invite our honored guest, the Prime Minister of St Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honorable Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, to address you. Prime Minister, may I invite you to give the address, please? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, our National Coordinator, young Stapleton, I'm very happy to see you again. So
Wonderful to see you. Oh,
yes. And Sheena Lewis, who, like Old Man River, simply goes on and on and on. And we're happy to have Emma Reynolds with us from the Labour family. I don't get involved in the domestic politics of the United Kingdom, but you know I'm a Labour man. I'm from the Labour family, and we treat our Labour family special. I'm not getting involved, but I'm just telling you. And I want to welcome everyone here to this evening's event, and thank you for coming out. You know, the kinds of friendship which we build up. A young lady who is here, she is known her for many, many years, and she's brought two friends all the way from Oxford. They're from Sudan. And this is the kind of interconnection we have. Sigbata or Jamaican Vincentian. Some people become a national because of love of country. He came to it through love of a woman from St Vincent and the Grenadines. And so on and so forth. I want to say something to Emma, and something I've never said here in High Wycombe. High Wycombe is very special to me, not only because of the links from the 1950s. And as many of you know, that I've been around quite a long time. I mean, some think I've been around for such a long time that I was playing on the Sea of Galilee with Isaac, son of Abraham. But the High Wycombe, as Emma pointed out, the tradesmen who came here, and high Tory country. People are accustomed to finding the migrants from the Caribbean in London, in Coventry, in Southampton, in Reading, and so forth. But high Tory country. How this happened? And it's a peculiar thing. Some persons were recruited from the building trades, and they brought their friends, and they brought their family. And the bulk of them, really, come from the northeast of St Vincent, though as time went on, it spread all over St Vincent and the Grenadines. So High Wycombe is special to us in St Vincent and the Grenadines. I mean, it is true that Brooklyn is the largest Vincentian city in the world. We have more people in Brooklyn from St Vincent and the Grenadines than we have in our capital city, Kingstown. It's just one of the quirks of migration. But at a personal level, I'll tell you a story about High Wycombe. I came here to England the first time on August the 23rd, 1971. Actually, I was in England before Emma came to England. Emma was born, I know, in 1977. So I knew the 3-day week, I knew Ted Heath, I knew the struggle between himself and Wilson, and the miners' strike. I was there with them on the picket. So I've been around, Emma. And I came on August the 23rd on a British Council scholarship to do a PhD at the University of Manchester. And of course, because that's the only money which I would have had available, I did my PhD in Manchester, but I did law in London. And I didn't attend any lectures in law. I enrolled, read the books, and wrote the exams while I was doing my PhD, so in order to double up, to make sure that I can get everything done. I landed in England with 17 pounds in my pocket, 17 pounds, and went to stay with a friend, Claude Lawrence, from my home village in Connery. At the time, he was living in Stoke Newington. It's a fairly rundown area at the time. It's not so much so now. Remember those days without any central heating? When you get up on mornings, you smell of kerosene from the. you remember that? You smell of kerosene from the paraffin. Yes, and Claude had one room. We could have shared the kitchen and a bathroom, and he worked at Ford's in Dagenham. And in those days, well, he and we slept in the same bed. In those days, to be gay was to be happy, so it was perfectly in order. It was perfectly in order to sleep in the same bed with a man. So I'm measuring my 17 pounds, and I'm checking I have some money remaining to travel from Euston Station to Manchester, because the letter had said to me that my scholarship begins on the 1st of September, and I would get my first 110 pounds on the 1st of September. That was my scholarship to pay for my rent and eat food and everything. I could manage then on £110 in the month. Of course, when I turned up at Manchester to the Bursa, the university made an error. It wasn't to start on the 1st of September. It was the 1st of October. So I have no money. I didn't panic. I went back to Houston and I bought an Evening Standard newspaper. I said I would look into the newspaper to see any job which can feed me. At least Claude would give me somewhere to sleep with the paraffin. So I'd be okay. So I found this place in Acton that they're looking for persons to sell double glazed windows and central heating equipment. Of course, I don't know nothing about double glazed windows or central heating. So I turned up in Acton, West Acton. And I went up for the interview. I said, I know nothing about this thing. I'm a student. I just want to work this month to see. Give me something. Explain this to me. Give me a leaflet, and then you can call me back. He called me back. He hired me. And you know where he assigned me? Here. High Wycombe. To do the leads for double glazed windows and central heating. I made money. I made money. In fact, not only did it feed me, I was still getting some monies up to January the next year, because of, so you understand, if I can sell double glazed windows and central heating, which I know nothing about, could you imagine labor policy, which I know a lot about? I must be able to sell that very well. I know Emma has to go. I told her friend, Jenny today, Jenny Chapman, Baroness Chapman, who is in the Foreign Office. She's the minister responsible for the Caribbean and Latin America. If Keir Starmer and David Lammy had not gone off to Europe, to Brussels, and then to go to Azerbaijan for the COP, the Conference of Parties under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, I would have seen them. But another time. I know both of them. In fact, when Keir was Director of Public Prosecution, we had a function for him. He came to St Vincent at the residence of the Prime Minister. It's amazing how things come around, you know. Of course, during that time, I've seen Tony Blair go. I've seen Gordon Brown come and go. Theresa May, and I got to know them all. Dave Cameron. I was quite fond of Dave Cameron. Then Boris, and then a lady, well, she wasn't around long enough. So I really didn't. Trust me, I didn't meet her. and then, of course, Rishi Sunak, whom I got to know, and now Keir Starmer. Now, something which I explained to Baroness Chapman today. She's from Darlington. The population in Darlington, the city of Darlington, is approximately the population of St Vincent and the Grenadines, though we are much larger territorially. Not only the landscape, but we have over 11,000 square nautical miles of sea space, or seascape. So the sea is very important to us, in addition to our land. I told her that I reasonably believe that St. Vincent and the Grenadines provides proportionately 7 times the number of persons in the British military, Army, Navy, and Air Force than provided by Darlington, which is a similar population. She said to me, well, maybe not 7 times, because Darlington is above the average, she tells me. But the point is this. Britain has a population of 69 million. You have in the armed forces 138,000. Regulars, I'm not talking about the territorial army and so on. I'm talking about the regulars in the army, the Navy, the Air Force. That is to say, just about 0.2%, 0.2 of 1% of the entire British population you have defending this country. But right now, we have 1,500 members, 1,500 Vincentians in the British military. 1.5% of our population, more than 7 times proportionately that the British people themselves provide for the defense of the British realm, which makes us very special, and which means that we should be asking for some special favors because our sons and daughters we put ourselves on the line to defend the British realm. It's a remarkable story, and we encourage it. And of course, more than half of our nurses whom we train come here, of course, to send back remittances. It pains me sometimes when they take some of our excellent nurses. But we are a free, open, democratic society. I can't put handcuffs on our young professionals. We just train more and more and more all the time. There are some nurses who are smiling here. Yes, I see one is raising her hand. When did you come up? You came up in 2022. And I will tell you this. I'll tell you this. We, under my watch, we give a free education for our nurses, free. And in addition, we pay them a monthly stipend to go to school. Hitherto, the profession was not one very populated by the children of the poor and the working people and the peasantry. But that is what you now have. Did you do the degree or the associate degree? You did the associate degree and then you wrote the regional exams. Yes. I know the story very well. I can tell you the details. And in fact, the stipend which they get is no less than 60% of the per capita GDP of the country, the average per capita GDP in the country. We take good care of them. Even though they never used to get the stipend before and they had to pay, I send them free and I give them the stipend. They still say they want more. It is in the nature of human beings, and so be it. But we are very happy for all of them, and she's here. They're having further training, and hopefully some of them will come back home. Right now, we sent a batch of 60 to Leeds. 60 to Leeds. Leeds had a shortage. Leeds Hospital. So I just want to tell you, Emma, when you see the ordinary men and women of St. Vincent and the Grenadines about in your constituency, just remember what I've just told you here about them and how special they are to us, how much special they are to Britain, and how much special, I assure you, there will be to you. Just show them love and caring. That's all we ask. Just show them love and caring, and they'll be there for you. You wouldn't have to go and campaign at their doorstep. They will campaign for you. I'm not getting involved in British politics. I'm just a Labour man from the Labour family. Now, I want to talk about two things this evening. One, to summarize for you the vision which we started with and where we are with this vision. And to speak specifically about the natural disasters we have been having, and the last one, Hurricane Beryl on July the 1st, and where we are, the difficulties which we are facing, and the progress which we have made, and where I want also the British government to help, because which is one of the things I went to talk to Baroness Chapman about, and I'd written Keir Starmer about it earlier. And we have a strong case for there to be reciprocal solidarity. When you had your problems, we have been there for you. We have some now. And as a Labour family, I expect you to show solidarity with us. People expect it, and I expect it. And by the way, it's when I came to England, because I was doing two program here program in Manchester and one in London. I lived at different times in both places, and when I lived in Tottenham, in London, I lived in Tottenham, so I know Bernie Grant. He and I trawled the pubs from Tottenham to Brixton with Valerie Amos in tow, Baroness Amos. So I have sweat equity in this business too. I have sweat, and those were the dark days of Labour. So I just want to tell you what this means. Oh, I know there's the colonial relationship. I know the history of colonialism and native genocide and the enslavement of African bodies. And there's a discussion about reparations. I'm not going to talk about that this evening, the last time I spoke about that. But there is historically a strong relationship between the British Labour Party and the Unity Labour Party of St Vincent and the Grenadines, and we are both members of Socialist International. So I give you the broad framework. When we came to office in 2001, we embarked on a quest to build a modern, competitive, many-sided, post-colonial economy, which was at once national, regional, and global. And each of those words is pregnant with real meaning. And each of those words, and in the composite of that quest, transformative. Because what existed hitherto, from 1763, from the time of the establishment of British suzerainty in St Vincent and the Grenadines, to the dawning years of the 21st century, was a colonial or amended colonial economy. What were the features of this colonial or amended colonial economy? Its first central feature was that it was based on an unlimited supply of cheap, unskilled labor. That's the first defining characteristic of a colonial or an amended colonial economy. Its base was an unlimited supply of cheap, unskilled labor. Secondly, that the various commodities, raw materials in agriculture, whether it was tobacco, sugar, cotton, arrowroot, or bananas, they were subsidized either at home and/or supported by market preferences in the United Kingdom. Of course, there were also a locking out of commodities from other countries being imported into St Vincent and the Grenadines other than from Britain through a number of license systems and also high tariffs. Now, the last of those protections, bananas, it went the way of all flesh. There are several other bases of a colonial and amended colonial economy, but those are two fundamental ones. The type of labor, the price of the labor, the way production was organized, the type of production, and subsidies and market preferences. You can't go back to that. That's a bygone. This is why, in order to lay the basis for a modern, competitive, many-sided post-colonial economy, which is national, regional, and global, the first thing you had to do was to carry out an education revolution. Complete. I want to tell you this. We spend more money on post-secondary and tertiary education than I spend on hospital services. I spend more money on post-secondary and tertiary education than I spend on the police. We are on target, as a consequence of this education revolution, that by 2030, we will have on an average, per household, one college or university graduate per household in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is why our nurses and our young men and women who go to the armed forces, we come with a pretty good standard of formal education. Then, in building that education revolution, and I want to remind everyone that when we started in 2001, 4 out of every 10 12-year-olds, only 4 were at secondary school. Within 4 years, all 12-year-olds were at secondary school. And that has remained the case since. Expansion in all areas of education, all areas, including technical and vocational education. Then, if you're going to change the nature of the economy and to make it very competitive, we had to do several things. We had to build an international airport. Because St. Vincent and the Grenadines is a mountainous place, we hardly had the flat land to build the airport. And you recall that for 50 years, every politician who came by said they were going to build an airport. You had more studies done on the airport than any other subject. They study it, and then that's the end of it, because they didn't know how to do it. Because where we had to build it, we had to move 2 mountains and 2 hills. We had to fill 4 valleys. We had to span a river and a stream. We had to move 140 middle and upper middle income houses and cause them to be built elsewhere. We had to move 1 small hotel, 2 guest houses. We had to move a church and a cemetery, all of those things for starters. We had brains, and we had nothing else. But we put together an international coalition to build this. And Emma will put together a coalition among persons who weren't even talking to one another. Just to remind everyone what we had to do. Cuba, Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago, Taiwan, Georgia under Saakashvili, Turkey, Libya under Muammar Gaddafi, Iran under Ahmadinejad, Mexico, Austria, and the Doubting Thomases in Britain, Canada, the United States, they thought it couldn't be done, that I was a madman. When I built it, I said, well, now I've built it, I need your help to equip it. And I got very special soft loans from the export-import credit arrangements in each of those countries to do different things. That's how that airport was built. But if you want to switch to build the services and to change the nature of the old agriculture, you needed an international airport. And as soon as I started the international airport, I said we have to begin another transformative matter, to build a modern port. And that port is $250 million US. It's going to be completed by May next year. And this occasion, the institutions which looked askance at us in respect of the international airport came forward. Like, for instance, the Caribbean Development Bank loaned us $110 million US, the most money that they had ever loaned any project, single project, in 50 years of existence. And then my friend Dave Cameron, as part of the United Kingdom, the SIF program, the Caribbean Infrastructure Fund program, we got $36 million US, so amounting to about 14% of the cost, so that up front. And by the way, to show you how focused we are on these things, the money was put in the Caribbean Development Bank by Dave Cameron until I was ready for it, and there was no temptation for me to spend it on anything else. Dave came and went. Teresa came and went. Boris came and went. Well, there was a slight interregnum, and then Rishi came. It's when Rishi came that the money was actually drawn down, when we were ready for it, as part of the overall rolling out of this fantastic project. That will give you an idea as to how we proceed. So we built a lot of infrastructure, health facilities of all kinds. And we just broke ground on a $80 million US, 135 bed acute care hospital, which is going to be the most modern hospital anywhere in the Eastern Caribbean when it is finished. Bridges of all kinds, and roads. Lots of money in these things because you had to do the infrastructure. I know Sino spoke about the Rabaca Bridge. And Emma probably would have been thinking, a bridge, what is so exciting about a bridge? Well, the thing is this. This is an expanse of nearly 3 football fields in width, And the river is called Dry River because there was just a trickle coming down in the center of this large expanse, which was dug out a couple of centuries earlier with the volcanic eruptions, repeated eruptions. And people to the north, invariably they were cut off. When rains come in the mountains, you don't see them on the seacoast. And you'll be walking across or driving across on the base of the river bed. That just wash you away because the water comes down in a rush. And we devised a particular engineering model to do embankments inside and join those embankments in a narrow space over where the water comes, and do river training all the way up. And we opened that in 2007. And the model is working very, very well. And that's only one. But if you're building this kind of society and the basis education, you're building the infrastructure, we had to do a lot of stuff for, well, health and housing, sports, culture, telecommunications. Many of you don't know this. We spent $30 million in putting down fiber optic cables. The whole of the country, north to south, and then under the seawater, down to the Grenadine Islands, link them to Grenada, and link them to St. Lucia. We're calling on the telecommunications companies. Now that I've built the highway for you, you put the vehicles on the highway to take my information. This is the way in which we do this. We expanded electricity services. We expanded the water, high quality water, collection of solid waste collection and disposal. All of these things accompanied this quest. So there's this vision, and then we align our foreign policy, and I want to tell you this. My government does a lot of things with urgency, but I believe that even while we're acting with urgency, we must have a patience and a calm. Because sun brightens stone, even as the greener leaf explode, and all the river burns. So you have to have a patience and a calm too. We decided in 2009, for instance, that in June 2019, we will contest the seat for non-permanent membership of the Security Council, the smallest country ever in the history of the United Nations. 10 years. He looked at the schedule, who are contesting. In 2019, when we ran for the seat for Latin America and the Caribbean, El Salvador ran against us. El Salvador was supported by Trump. Trump mobilized John Bolton, Ambassador John Bolton, to help with that campaign. We won 185 votes to 6 with 2 abstentions out of the 193 members of the General Assembly of the United Nations. 10 years campaign. I have no money, but it's what we can do without the money. But if you look at the team which we put together, I wanted Russian-speaking persons on my team. And when we went to the Security Council, I wanted Mandarin-speaking persons. I wanted people who speak the Turkish language, Spanish and French, part of the course. I sent people to Moscow, young men, recruited a young working class boy from a young man from a young working class to do to go to Russia. Spent 7 years in Moscow at the university. I wanted him to perfect Russian. Sent my own daughter to Taipei to learn Mandarin. Pastor Denny's adopted daughter sent her to Turkey. Made the contact with Erdogan, and so on and so forth. French and Spanish, well, that's fairly easy. Now, when I started in 2009 to do this, the people around me said, but Prime Minister, how are you sure you're going to be in office in 2019? I said, well, if I'm not in office in 2019, I'm hoping that those who replace me have the good sense to see that we must carry through with this particular public policy. If they don't, well, that would be their failure. But I was 100% confident that the people will continue to elect us because we are outlining what we're doing. It's not that people, look, there are lots of dissatisfaction. It is in the nature of human beings to have dissatisfactions alongside with satisfactions. This is a fact of life, and philosophically, it is something which we must accept. You know in your life, you're satisfied with your husband and you're dissatisfied with him. You're satisfied with your woman and you're dissatisfied with her. You know, you're not 100% satisfied. You'd be contented, but not 100%. Because it is this, the question is this though, is who has brought you here? And who is likely to take you there? I once was blind, but now I see. Grace has brought me safe thus far, and grace will take me home. Amen. Beautiful. So, it's not that there would not be dissatisfactions. And it is dissatisfaction which prompts human beings to look for other ways to have satisfactions. And it doesn't matter how many times we pray and how many times we sing, good Lord, I pray, let me not leave behind any unfinished task. You are going to leave unfinished tasks. Of course, the meaning of that song, the most important unfinished task you mustn't leave is that you must have your soul in the place where you can be redeemed. But you're going to have dissatisfactions. Many of you here, sometime when the cold gets to you, say, Lord, what am I doing in this God-forsaken country? I mean, I could be home in St Vincent and there's breadfruit and there's, there's jackfish. I could go to river and get river lobster and so on and so forth. You can be doing, but you have a reasonable standard of living. You have your children. You have your grandchildren. And they provide satisfactions. So it's not a question of not having dissatisfactions. It's whether you're on the right track and that you're lifting yourself and your family and St. Vincent and the Grenadines higher. That is the important question. That is where you're going. So I give you the broad framework as to what we set out. I've written more than one book on this subject. And those who want to read can go and look at them on Amazon and elsewhere. Since 2010, I've written 11 books. And several before 2010, but I'm just talking about since 2010. Because I have an obligation to write. I'll tell you this. And because I'm 78 years old, I can talk these things in a way in which younger people can't talk about it. Because I have lived more years than I have remaining left to live. I know that. And that doesn't worry me. I take it as life and we move on. But when Emma comes to St Vincent and the Grenadines, I'll be there as Prime Minister, God willing. But easily, she could have met me selling fruits and vegetables on the street as she was driving. She said, I want to buy some fruits and vegetables from this old man. Could have been me. Easily, it could have been. Because of the journey. My foreparents were taken from Madeira in 1845 as indentured servants after the abolition of the enslavement of African bodies. That happened in 1838. We arrived in 1845. They were bonded to a planter for 2 years. My grandfather was illiterate in English and Portuguese. So too my great-grandfather. My father left school at class 3 in the primary school. He went to work when he was 11 years old on an estate. My mother, she finished primary school. And though I had a good father, my mother fathered me. No. As life went on, they built themselves through the dint of hard work and luck. But when I was a boy, between ages 5 to 12, I went to school every day at the Connery Roman Catholic Primary School, barefooted. Didn't have a shoe. The first shoe that I had, that I got, is when, on the basis of an exam, that I got a chance to go to write the grammar school exams, to go to secondary school. And my mother can send her boy to town to write that exam, barefoot. She measured my foot with a piece of string. Yes, she measured my foot with a piece of string. Not a good instrument by which to measure. And then you have to apply that to the shoe. She brought it back a half size too small. She says, I said, Mommy, it's tight. She says, all right, your foot, go stretch it. They appointed her for the exam, about 250, 270 of us taking it. Only 30 boys could get in. Colonialism had been around for 200 years. They had built 2 secondary schools, one for boys, one for girls, one for each 100 years of colonialism. I remember we got into town at about 8 o'clock because you take the first bus. Exam starting at 9. I'm walking the quarter mile from the road to where the grammar school is. It wasn't even a proper wall school, it was a board school, a timber school. It's hurting my foot, hurting my head. I went inside the exam room, I took off my shoes, took off my socks. By the time the invigilator came to hand out the papers, my head was in okay condition and he didn't ask me to put on back my shoe. So I wrote my exam like how I had written all exams hitherto. And once that happened, I aced it. So I'm on the racetrack. But the Saturday before I went to write the exam, I was going to the mountain with my father, to the lands. He had a donkey named White. I had a donkey named George. We riding our donkeys. And he's talking to me. He said, they say that you're the brightest boy in the school in Connery. But this exam you're doing on Monday is the whole country. I tell him, I said, I'll be all right. He said, just do your best. If you don't get through, it's all right. There's the land here. We'll work it. And when you're old enough, you can decide if you want to go away. Because remember one thing, you're going out to be a nurse because you're already a nurse. Many persons here who had similar experiences, go away. Go away to do what? Go away. And when you arrive, you see what you can make do. So I have had a journey. And in my own case, we are independent now for 45 years. I've been Prime Minister for nearly 24 of those 45 years. So I can talk things in a way which I'm the oldest member in Parliament. The other day I was talking about picking cotton. Not one single person in Parliament knew how to pick cotton. So, we set this vision and we're working through it. But over the last 24 years, I've had 12 significant natural disasters. 12. 11 due to the weather conditions and 1 the volcanic eruptions. And that doesn't count COVID. I want Emma to understand this. I want everybody here to understand this. In 2020 and 2021, we had COVID. We had to manage that. In April 2021, we had 21 volcanic eruptions. Had 1/5 of the population had to go in shelters. In July of that year, same year, we had Hurricane Elsa. And then, on February the 22nd, Putin went into Ukraine, causing additional problems, disrupting the supply chains, prices going up, and all the rest of it. I had to deal with all of those. And just as we're recovering, early in the hurricane season 2024, Hurricane Beryl hit. Beryl has damaged severely or destroyed 4,993 houses, containing 19,444 persons. The cost of repairing and rebuilding those houses, I'm going to only talk about houses, if I can talk about other things. The cost is, in US dollars, about $150 million. It has caused $150 million or 400 million EC dollars, Eastern Caribbean dollars. The economic damage has been estimated at 1/3 of the GDP, of the gross domestic product. That's not the economic loss. That's the damage. Because there's the loss, people, consequentially, people don't have jobs, you have to take care of them and so on. I'm only talking about the economic damage directly. The agriculture has been shot through. tourism plans, particularly in the southern Grenadines. You take an island like Union Island. Union Island has 1,300 buildings. Only one or two remained, flattened. But only 79 of them had insurance. That's the scale of the problem I'm talking about. So you see why I need some persons from the armed forces or people with building technology from Britain to come and help me. And when they're coming, I want my brother Kerr to send steel and cement and lumber and galvanize and so on to help me build it, to help me build back better and stronger. You can talk all what you want at COP about climate change. I have something here. You can't tell me that you're going to give me something down the road and you're seeking to have agreement with other countries and all the rest of it. I have a problem now. I want for housing $150 million US on a lot of people because I don't have enough persons to work, to build back fast. We train a lot of people, they go into other islands, but that is if it's in the normal thing. I have the persons are in other people's homes. We have 500 and something in shelters. I have nearly 600 in what I call touristic accommodation, guest houses, apartments, cheaper hotels and the like. And the state pays for all of that. The expenditure, my recurrent expenditure in the month of October was 27% higher. I'm not talking capital, 27% higher than it was in the October last year. My revenues have not gone up 27%. I just give it the month of October and I can go everywhere. But I can't leave the people to suffer. I have to find ways and means. We are having something very interesting happened. The good Lord works in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. I was at an island, and I'm glad that Sion is a former press secretary. He's doing law now. By the way, about the persons whom I'm talking about, I sent Sion to Azerbaijan to study international relations and to learn the language there. That young man. He's now doing law here. He was my press secretary. And I can name persons whom you know, but that's not necessary. I've illustrated the point well enough. Tanara is an island off the northeast coast of Scotland. If you get to Tanara, you must look it up. Tanara Moor, M-O-R. Moor is Scottish for a hill, a big mountain, you know. So it's an island with several hills. After the Second World War, the population is decimated. There's a wealthy Englishman called Ian Wace, W-A-C-E. You may know him as the Wace in this big investment company, Marshall Wace. He's the Wace. He has a house. He's a rich man who has a house in Canoan, one of the islands affected. But he bought Tanara in 2014. Tanara, how is Tanara and St Vincent and the Grenadines connected? And with Ian Wace. Tanara used to be a place where you fish for herring and smoke and dry them on that island. They have a direct connection with St. Vincent. In fact, I rowed a boat at Tanara named St. Vincent. It was made in 2010, and they have refurbished it. It was one of these vessels that fished for herring, 1910. It's 114 years now old. And there were boats before that. The smoked herring which we used to get in St. Vincent came from Tanara until they stopped produce smoked herring. Smoked herring was a staple with breadfruit in St. Vincent. That unsalted cod from Newfoundland. Just think about the improbability of Tanara connected to St. Vincent, and Ian Wace is there. He has spent thus far of his own money to help in the reconstruction in the Southern Grenadines, about $13 million US. By the way, more than the British government has offered thus far. That's just by the way. I don't want to harp on that. I just mentioned that just by the way. But he's doing fantastic work. He wanted me to see Tanara. So I came a little early and I went to Tanara. I addressed about 150 Scottish and Romanian workers on Tanara. They're the ones who are rebuilding Tanara. And right at the moment as I speak, there are 22 Romanians and Scottish workmen on Canoan and Union from sunrise to sunset. And I went there to talk to them because I want, when this batch comes back home, comes back to Tanara on December the 15th, I want on January the 15th, not just 22 to come, I want 30 to come or 35 to come. So I was encouraging them. And they're all very happy and anxious to volunteer to come. So you see me on the road, I'm not just going to the British government, I'm making the links elsewhere. Because you have to build these friendships and build this solidarity, and you have to have a plan. I just want to say this as I end. The book of Matthew, chapter 25, encompasses in a nutshell what we're trying to do. There are three parables in that chapter. The first parable is about the 5 wise and the 5 foolish virgins. And you know the old Sankey, this young lady here who preached, her grandmother, Mother Sandy, is a spiritual Baptist, indigenous religion, African forms and Christian worship. She's a Pentecostal, but in her heart, she'd be a spiritual Baptist, and she'd know the Sankey. As many persons here, you know the Sankey, put a little oil in your lamp and keep it burning. And burn until the break of day. What it means, you have to plan. The 5 wise virgins got their husbands by planning. Of course, the story has a lot of misogyny in it, but never mind that. I'm dealing with the planning point at the moment, not the misogyny point. I'm not dealing with the Trumpian point, I'm dealing with the planning point. So, first thing, you have to plan. The second parable concerns the parable of the talents. Now, you may recall that different persons were given different talents. And the talents which was given there was money, but you can use talents to mean skill, any talent. It's a metaphor. And there's two of those workers were given what the particular talents. They multiplied their talents. But one was very proud to tell the master, you gave me this talent, and I bury it here, and I have preserved it. And the master said to him, thou fool, look at what your brothers did. They increase on their talents. That story tells us that from each according to his ability, to each according to his work. So we have to work. We have to be disciplined. One of the most painful things to me is to see work to be done and one or two young men sitting down idly by a shop drinking rum. They don't like when I talk about the sinner. But I believe I've been a political activist for 56 years, so I believe that I have won the right. I've earned the right to speak in these terms. Those who I speak to like that may not vote for me. Well, so what? So what? But I have to speak to it. Their mothers would vote for me, and their fathers would, and their girlfriends would. They may not. In any case, I could bet you they ain't going to the polls because election morning they're drinking rum by the rum shop too. However, the third parable, third part of the parable, the third parable is the one which balances out that second one. From each according, the one which says from each according to his ability, to each according to his work. You remember the parable about the division between the sheep and the goats? If your brother is in prison, you have to go and look for him. If he doesn't have a roof, you have to help him put a roof over his head. If he's hungry, you have to give him food. If he's thirsty, you have to help him with a drink, your clothes. That is the part of the solidarity, for us to help one another. We have to plan with what we have available. And each of us has to work in accordance with his or her own ability and talents. And thirdly, we have to be in social solidarity with one another. We can't be like atomized individuals, separate and distinct, and then you don't have anything called a society. That's a philosophy of a different set of people. That's not our philosophy. If we do that, despite all the travails, despite all the difficulties, we are going to succeed. It's not easy work. And you'll have to take some zigs and some zags. Sometimes you may meet some young persons full of a lot of enthusiasm and knowledge, but not a sufficiency of wisdom, who will tell you, if you take a zig here or a zag there, that you sell out. No. I'll tell you this. The shortest distance between 2 points geometrically is a straight line. But you cannot climb Sofre Mountain by a straight line. You have to take a zig and you have to take a zag. The important thing when you take your zig or your zag, you don't end up in a dead end. That your eye is fixed on the mountaintop. And you're planning, and you're working assiduously, and you're going there. Life has complications. And what you plan to do this morning may not work. You might have to try something else. If you read the book of Ecclesiastes, And I read these things not only for spiritual refreshment, but for wisdom. In Ecclesiastes, the Hebrew people said, those who look at the wind will not sow, and those who gaze at the rain will not reap. You try something in the morning, and you might have to try something else in the evening. You don't know whether this one in the morning will work or this one in the evening, if each of them equally would work as well, or one would do better than the other. But you have to have a vision, you have to have a framework, you have to have a philosophy, you have to have policies, you have to have programs, and you have to plan it carefully. And there will be dissatisfactions. But once you're on the right path, and you act with urgency in all the circumstances, but nevertheless, have a patience and a calm. One day, I was talking to my daughter on the phone, and she had a lot of angst about this or that. So I urged her to have a patience and a calm. And I told her, sun brightens stone. So she said, what does that have to do with patience and calm? And I reminded her that when she was a little girl, I took her in the river where I used to bathe in the village. And the stones are of volcanic origin. The stones are black. But that part of the stone which is exposed to the sun over the centuries is brightened. And that part which is submerged is darker. Sun brightens stone. And sometimes you have to have patience, and you have to have calm while you work as urgently as you can, and the abilities that you have to use them, and to have always a plan. You know, there's a Sankey. How many of you know it? The one that says the old Mother Sandy used to sing it. I'm building a bridge. God give me a plan. You know that one? Yes. Do you remember it? I'm sure you know it. You want me to sing it? Yes. I'm building a bridge. God give me a plan. He promised me He gonna hold my hand. I'm building high, I'm building it low. I'm building a bridge. God give me a plan. Remember that. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think PM deserve better. Be upstanding for our Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Gonsalves. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gonsalves, for your outstanding presentation. Thank you all. You may be seated. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma.
Where's Aaron? Thank you.
And tell Starmer for me, and Reeves, and remind Jenny.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we'll have question and answers in the next 10 or so minutes. But before that, we've heard from our Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. Now, I would like to hear from two Vincentians. I'm going to give you all 1 minute each. Bert and Samuel, I want you to come up and tell me
what it was like growing up in St Vincent and the Grenadines, and where do you think we've come today? Kimberly, you were one of the younger ones. After Burton, I'll give you 1 minute to come and tell us, where do you see St Vincent and the Grenadines going in the future? All right, where would you like us to be? And while Burton come up behind me, I would just like to make some acknowledgements. Okay, I would like to acknowledge Mr. Rudy Ackerman, Honorable Consulate for St. Vincent and the Grenadines in Germany. If you can just stand so people can see who you are. Thank you. I would like to acknowledge the staff of the High Commission in London, SVG High Commission. If you guys stand so we can see who you are. All the members, committee members and chairs of the National Council of St Vincent and Grenadines Association UK, if you can stand and give everybody a wave. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Cecil Brown, our famous writer. If you could, he's over there, stand. Thank you all very much. And of course, we have our beauty queens, Tamara and Ilsa. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I haven't forgotten anyone. Oh, yes. And if we would just welcome our Barbadian friend, Tyrone Roach. Thank you. I would just also like to thank NBC Radio, Star Radio FM SVG, Concardi Radio Canada, and Chippy Burke Vinci Internet Radio in Canada for live streaming today's event. So we're being seen all across the world. So thank you all very much for streaming the event. Okay, so Natasha, after, I see you there, sorry, I completely forgot. Ladies and gentlemen, can we acknowledge Natasha, the head of the tourism department, St. Vincent. Thank you. Maybe after this, Natasha, after Kimberly, you can sell St. Vincent and the Grenadines to potential visitors in 30 seconds. All right? Thank you. Yes.
So good afternoon, good evening, everybody. It's wonderful to be here, just to spend a few moments with you, to share with you my thoughts as to St. Vincent and growing up there, and my aspirations for the country moving forward. So I work with His Excellency as the High Commissioner. We have set up the charity, the National Foundation, French Foundation, and we are looking to do something very similar in St. Vincent with Sir Louis Straker being our chair there. It's important for us to understand that as a people, it's not just about looking back, it's about looking forward. And in order to do that, we must have something that drives us, something that stimulates us, something that helps us to see a better future, not just for ourselves, but for our young people. And that's why it's important for us to invest not only in terms of education, and our Prime Minister has touched on the nurses and our armed forces, but it's important that we in our own homes encourage our young people to be better and to understand that tomorrow they can actually shape the future. So for me, as we move forward as a people, it's important for us to understand that we have a God-given talent, but if we don't exercise the talent, we go nowhere. So it's up to us to drive and to make sure that whatever we do, we are investing not only for our current generation, but the generation that comes after us. That's why we are here as an organization, as a people, and I trust that this message will have resonance with you as well. Thank you.
Come on, it is over. Better clap than that. Are we asleep? Wake up. Hello. Thank you, Kimberly.
My mind is blank. I think because of the way I interact with Denise, she thinks that I am not a shy person, but I am very shy, and I just need to keep my head down too.
You come from Dixon.
So, for the future of St. Vincent, as my Prime Minister would always say, that he would not be, he has lived more life than he has left to live. So I hope that whosoever is in power in St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the next 10, 20 years, that they would...
Here it is. No. What's more important than that? When she and I had a good journey for her to get to nursing,
Yes.
and she promised me that when I was very old, she said, when you get very old, I will be there to help to take care of you.
I will be back. I will be back.
So I'm not so concerned about who is in power 10 or 20 years' time. I'm concerned whether Kimberly going to come back to help to help to take care of me. Though she got married, so she has
Obligation.
She has obligations. So I know that I may have to have an amendment to that plan. But I just want to show you how sometimes the plan don't go exactly how they're supposed to go. But I understand.
Yes. Okay, I think that sums it up.
No, but I'll tell you this. Kimberly had to confront a difficult childhood, real poverty.
Yep.
She didn't have the subjects yet to get into nursing school.
Yep.
Together, we had to work so that she could get her entry qualifications to go to nursing school. But once she got into nursing school, she loved it and she aced it.
Yes, I did.
And then I said that when she was coming, I said, why are you leaving me now? Why are you leaving? She said, you should understand, I have to go. I will come back, but I have to go. I said, all right. But she and I, but she's an example of the parable of the talents. She never hid her talents, and she did fantastically well. Not only that, even though she's here for a short period of time, she keeps in touch and she tells me what's happening.
Yeah.
She's advancing. She's getting promotion inside of the system here in the nursing thing.
I'm starting uni in January.
Huh?
I'm starting uni in January.
And in January, she says she's going to uni to do something else. This is another special one.
Thank you, Deanna. Now, I don't have to tell the people in here about how diverse St. Vincent and the Grenadines is. We are one of the best destinations in the Caribbean. However, what I have to tell you is that as Vincentians, we're small, and it's our duty to be ambassadors wherever we go. And I want to encourage each and every one of you to rise to that challenge. Wherever you go, you shout the name St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and you encourage persons to come to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. If each of us do that to 7 persons and encourage them to continue to do that, then our marketing would be so sound. Thank you, Deanna.
There are many persons who can come. She's from Green Hill, well, Edinburgh and Green Hill. She used to teach as an undergraduate teacher at the convent in Kingston. Ben Haynes, who knew her mom very well from Green Hill, wonderful woman, tower of strength in the family. Ben Haynes worked with the local government. He's dead now, but he was an evangelical pastor. Ben turned up by my office one day with this young lady. And we had a conversation. I said, well, you're going to university? Remember I was telling you, my dear sisters from Sudan, about I knew Bashir, who was then the president, and I met him in Malaysia, at Langkawi. When I went there, I organized not only with the Malaysian government, but with a Malaysian businessman who also said he will contribute scholarships to St. Vincent, to the University of the West Indies, in addition to scholarships which the government gave at a university called Lim Kok Wing University in Malaysia. I have graduates from all over the world. And she won one of those scholarships to study in Jamaica at the University of the West Indies. And she got first-class honors. She's extremely bright. You're here, I'm telling you. She is here as our tourism representative. She studied this subject at the university. So you see them walking about looking, well, not ordinary, because she's so beautiful. In fact, don't ask her for her number, guys. No, but this is what I'm talking about the advancement which is taking, and it's happening across the board. But I know about them because my doors are always open to the young people and to their parents. What are we going to do? Where are we going? Always. And she and Kimberly and others too give me such great joy.
Thank you. One of the things that the PM doesn't know, and he knows a lot, is that I graduated this year from the University of Wales, Trinity St David, with an MBA in International Hotel Management. Congratulations, well done, Tasha. Oh.
I will tell you how we do this thing. There were 55 scholarships at the University of Wales, Trinity St David, 40 undergraduate, and 15 graduate. She got one of the graduate ones. They're all competitive. In April 2021, Prince Charles called me. He wasn't yet king. He said, I know him from before. We get along pretty well. I believe we made good friendship when I tease him. I say, I remember the days when the Daily Mail used to laugh at you, say you're talking to plants. And he would laugh at that. Anyway, he called me, middle of the volcanic eruptions. He said, I want to help with the relief effort. I told him I'm managing the relief effort fine. I said, I know you've put some money to the Red Cross and they're doing some good work. I said, I have a lot of young people in the shelters who I want to go to university in September. I want you to help me get a few dozen scholarships at one or more universities. He said he'll try and see. The next week, the Vice-Chancellor from the University of Wales, Trinity St David, called me, said that Prince Charles called him and asked him to get in touch with me. So he said, well, they would offer some scholarships. How much I want? I said, I want 75. He said, what about 55? I said, 55 will do for the moment. 40 undergraduates and 15 graduates. The price tag for those scholarships is £4.5 million. That's how that happened. That is how she ends up. Of course, she got the opportunity, but she had to work hard to get her master's from the University of Wales, Trinity St David. As a bonus, the university gave me an honorary doctorate.
Thank you. Prime Minister, there's one person in here that we've known, you and Mrs. Gonsalves, and I think everybody in this room know. She got ready for you 3 days ago. Look at the pretty dress she's actually wearing. Stand up and say hello to everyone. Thank you. Right, now we now move on with the program. If we can call Ethan De Silva to recite a poem. Thank you. Chris and Marion, if you get the mics ready for question and answers.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna read a poem called Together We Rise. O land of beauty, sea and sun, where emerald hills and waters run, St Vincent and the Grenadines, our heart beats within your streams. From mighty Soufriere, towering height, to where the waves in the moonlit light caress each shore, both great and small, we stand united one and all. Though storms may rage and tempests roar, our spirits shine forevermore. Through trials faced, our roots grow deep. In love and strength, our bonds we keep. From Beque's charm to Union's grace, each isle a gem, each face a place of courage, hope, and steadfast pride. With unity our constant guide, for in this land of verdant green, we strive for more, we dare to dream. Together, strong we build, we share, a future bright beyond repair. O sons and daughters, take your stand, with a heart and a hand. Protect this land, let voices rise, let banners wave, together bold, together brave. For St. Vincent and her great Grenadines, our love endures, our spirit gleams. With one accord we rise anew, one nation strong, one people true.
Thank you, Ethan. That was beautiful. We must continue to encourage our youths. After all, they are our future. Okay, so we'll now get ready for questions and answers. PM, are you ready?
Sure.
Yep, PM is ready. So if we can just keep our questions precise. Okay, not long, we're not writing a book. Just quick questions, all right? So if we can put our hands up, who wants to? Right, okay, so Christopher, if we start with the lady with her hand up. Yeah.
Hello.
And Marion, gentleman after.
Hello, Prime Minister. We met many years ago via Baroness.
Okay.
Baroness. Should I?
Yes, carry on.
Yes.
It's gone.
The volume is gone.
Another one? I'll try and be quick. It's gone again. Oh. So, 1, 2, 1, 2. It's lovely to see you again. We met through Baroness Amos many years ago at the Houses of Parliament. I've been fortunate to visit St Vincent twice in the past 6 months. Initially to catch up with Mum, who's now 85. I'm really impressed with all that you've achieved. Well done. To contribute with the improvement of St Vincent, I think it would be wonderful if you had a closer link with us over here. And one of the things that might help is sustainability, environmental support there. I was in contact with the Ministry for Agriculture, and they were kind enough to share that there's some recycling now happening via the schools and organic fertilizers. The reason I'm mentioning this and highlighting this is because I'm mindful of the challenges you've had with the volcano and the hurricanes. And I don't want to put my foot in it, but I think there's more we can do as a community with purchasing fair trade, organic, biodynamic products and foods. I don't see a lot of it happening here. And when I was in the Caribbean, there was a little bit, and I noted that you said that you would, one of the challenges you'd received, I know I'm talking for too long, I'll be quick, locking out of the communities providing products to St Vincent, that there is some locking out, so I appreciate that. It's not really a question, it's just really to link in and just, yeah.
I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for their contribution. We have been taking a fairly firm position on many of the issues which you're talking about. You know, a lot of you here will have persons in St. Vincent, family members, who suffering from problems with their lungs, in fact, dying from problems with their lungs. Some of them not involved in smoking in any serious way. And you wonder, why is it that they're dying? It's because they used to go and spray bananas, bareback, barefoot, and spray this thing, and it goes into their lungs. They don't know, but it later on affects them. We have banned a number of these very dangerous pesticides, Roundup and the like. And of course, when you do it, you get a pushback from some persons. All you have to do, you explain, you do it, and you move on. Educate, you do it, you move on. And it's a battle, because a lot of these products are relatively cheap, and they can get rid of the weeds fairly easily, but it's the danger which happens. Sometimes people will spray the tomatoes or the lettuce leaves and don't wash them properly. And it happens in Britain, it happens in the United States, but these are things which we need to look out for. And I agree with you that we must have better linkages, and we are open for that. I want to tell you, some of the best work which we get done under this government is with partnerships with non-governmental entities outside of St. Vincent, whether it's on matters relating to the environment, medical sciences, the medical missions. How many of you, for instance, know that we have a medical mission called the World Pediatric Project, where children, we are the center of it in the Eastern Caribbean. Children come from other places to come to us. And it's all, we get first world medical treatment for our children, free of cost. What they can't get in New York or Chicago, free. They get them in St. Vincent free and on a timely basis. It's amazing. And we have built the infrastructure, the institutional arrangements for that kind of a thing. So you're pushing an open door with us. And there's so many things which we have to be reminded about. This evening, someone reminded me about the laxity in which those responsible for search and rescue, they don't provide enough facilities at the beaches for proper protection, to have people who can do CPR, who can, you know, as you build out this amazing modern type of economy, it has to come with a series of other infrastructural things and lots of details. And you don't get all of it right, but if our mindset is there and we go in there, we will get it right as we go along. And the more hands that we bring to the exercise, the easier it would be. You work in with the Ministry of Agriculture, for instance, because of the policy. I don't have to know. Saboto may tell me, he may give a report to me. But you're doing the work there with him, it might be the Ministry of the Environment and so on and so forth. And I want to encourage you to do it, not just through the umbrella organization, but individual groups too. with which, because you have other linkages, other groups in which you are involved. And I will urge you to do that and help. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Next question, please.
Hi, Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves. We're honoured by your presence, so I thought I'd start that with a context. But I think I can really try and help and provide something back to St Vincent. I'm Vincentian in descent. I'm a consultant forensic psychiatrist, and I'm Director of Medical Education of one of the biggest health organisations in the country. I'm also one of the training directors within the Royal College of Psychiatrists. I've already spoken to one of my partners in crime, who's also one of the chairs of the Royal College of Psychiatrists. We can actually come down with a bunch of doctors to just, free of cost, of course, to provide any sort of expertise you might want. I really mean that. Just let me know what you might want.
You sent me the note just now.
Yeah, I did.
Well, I gave the High Commissioner all my numbers, and I said I want us to do it.
Contact me.
Well, I don't have your numbers. I put my numbers on my email.
Right, I'll send you my number.
So,
yeah.
But tomorrow, next week, next month, you tell me how many psychiatrists you want to bring for what period of time, what terms and conditions you want to bring them. We can rotate them. We make sure they get
Really?
accredited into our system because you're a medical practitioner.
Yeah.
You go through the accreditation process. Because we have a shortage of psychiatrists. I was able to secure one, an Indian lady. She came. She spent 6 months in the state sector, and then she went to work with one of the medical schools in St Vincent. But it's not only important for the health and well-being of individuals of all ages, but the absence of proper professional psychiatrists on the ground. It impacts negatively on the delivery of criminal justice because there are many persons who will mount a defense of insanity or diminished responsibility, if in the case of a murder. And the trials are taking very long to come up.
I'm a forensic psychiatrist. I'm an expert, court expert.
Well, we need persons like that so that we can then move some of these cases on very quickly.
I can bring 6 psychiatrists down, consultants.
No.
Down next January next year. I can bring them down.
Please, let's do it.
And just to
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Next question, please.
Good evening. Honorable Prime Minister, good evening. Pleasant good evening to everyone here. You mentioned earlier that you want young people to come from the military and those who are willing to. Is there a plan that the government has in place to put this into motion? It's a 2-part question, and I've served for 6 years. Check? Yeah. I've served the British Army for 6 years, and I want to return my service to St Vincent and Grenadines. And is there any plan in place for people like myself who wants to do that, whether it's through arts or different platform that you may create for the young
Let me ask you immediately. You and any of your mates, you have skills in building technology?
No.
No, if you know any, I'm telling you, I will tell you, let's talk and get them down for me tomorrow morning, day after tomorrow morning, whatever. I need you immediately. Now, there are opportunities, and obviously in some areas where there are skills shortages, those opportunities are better than in other areas. But if you could get my email and the telephone numbers at my office. They're available online at the office of the Prime Minister. Or you can get from Sheena Lewis and send your CV for me get your mates. We can do something in a structured manner. By the way, let me just say this. I told them 1,500. I told her 1,500, Emma, the MP. But actually, it's more than that, because what happens? There are several. I don't know if you have taken British citizenship yet. Have you? Okay. There are guys like you who are inside of the armed forces, who are from St Vincent, who have taken British citizenship. But when they check, you're not counted anymore as a Vincentian. So there are more of you than actually. You see the point I'm making? You know, you in the yard inside of your heart. Even though you take the British citizenship, no. But they don't get you tick off like a Vincentian. You're a British.
I still.
You still carry 2 passports. Fantastic, fantastic. No, but really, we encourage young people who want to join the British Armed Forces to join. You know what the risks are? You may be sent to the war front, but you develop skills, you develop discipline. You can stay longer if you want. You can leave. You can go into the private sector, civilian work, build your career. And it's a way in which we enhance opportunities for our young people.
Sorry to cut you off. My service isn't just... Yeah, but more so giving service of St Vincent and Grenadines, whether it's through, as I said, to arts or through doing work with the youths. So it's a...
Absolutely, absolutely. And you can come back or you can stay here and make the links then and make the contribution too, as befits your own circumstances, as your circumstances admit. For instance, you maybe have a one up here who you don't want to leave. You're afraid that if you go, when you come back, you get bowled out. So you say, boy, I ain't taking a chance. I ain't taking a chance. You know what I mean? Because she might want to come. You know, these are practical things. You make these decisions. But really, the point is this: you decide how you can help, and let's structure something in that regard.
Yeah, before the next question, I just want to say, Prime Minister, sir, we were approached by the British Army. And Mr. Porter sent a proposal. He wanted to bring a group of Army personnel down to help with the rebuilding of St. Vincent. I did send the proposal across to you, but I will forward it to you again. All right, thank you. Next question, please. Yes, thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Prime Minister. It's an honor to listen to you this evening. I'm originally Ghanaian. My lovely partner here is from St. Vincent, so I've fallen in love with St. Vincent.
You're from where?
Ghana.
Ghana?
Yes.
Where in Ghana? Accra?
Ashanti.
You're Ashanti?
Yes.
All right.
It's a pleasure. It's really a pleasure meeting you and hearing you speak.
You know, your spouse is born in St. Vincent?
Yeah, she's our secretary.
My mother is. Your mother is?
That's right.
You're a Unionite?
She is, yes.
What family name you have?
Cupid.
The Cupid. But of course, you have family in West St. George up in Belair. You have family also up in Diamond and up in Lomans. That's just, you know. Yeah.
But my question... my question really is, listening to you speak earlier amongst the parables, which were very good, you talked about building back and building back better. Are there any plans to look at the building standards, particularly as you're building better, to look at how more houses or more homes can stand a chance of withstanding such conditions in the future?
Well, we have strengthened the building codes which we met. And what we are doing now, we're revamping the entire Town and Country Planning Act. on the 20th of this month, the final version of the Town and Country Planning Act is coming to Cabinet for approval, which I'm hoping to take to Parliament before the end of the year, which will provide a framework for even more stringent building codes. Even the existing codes, which are stronger than they used to be, there's a problem often with enforcement. And this is a thing with building codes all about. But we also have a plan as to how we will improve that. It's not just the building codes themselves, but you go to Union Island, you will see some of the galvanized sheetings, which are off. They're thin almost like paper, because they're like 30 or 32 gauge. Cheaper. Now, 28 gauge may be acceptable, but the received wisdom now is that 26 gauge is the one which can make it reasonably easy to work with, while at the same time have the optimal strength. If the gauge is a little lower and therefore it's tougher, it becomes more difficult to work with the material. So you have to have a balance between what you work with the material and so on. So all of these things are being looked at, not just the question of the building codes in some formal way, but even in terms of the materials which you are using, they must be of a particular standard in your building back better and stronger.
Thank you. I will just ask one question from online. Prime Minister Silky Simon asks, which experiences and skills do we need for national development? Which sectors do you believe we are most crucial for returnees to contribute to?
Well, a very wide area, but right away, I need more land surveyors. I need more quantity surveyors. I need more civil engineers. I need more electrical engineers. I need people with all levels of skills in building technology, including managing particular projects. I need more persons who are skilled in the area of marine engineering. Because if you go to Georgetown and you watch, well, the whole of the Northeast, happens all over, but particularly the Northeast, because the Northeast trade winds. Bang on the sea, the waves are rough, sea erosion. We have studied the time series data from 1947, which is the year after I was born, to now. You have as many as 3, in fact, in some places, more than 3 cricket pitches in length. Those of you who play cricket know that a cricket pitch is 22 yards. More than 3 times that, you have had erosion. Now, you would see that we have done some work, for example, in Georgetown, close to Bronxtown, not way down to Bronxtown, but down in that area and up in Caratal, and some at Sanssouci. Those alone cost us $30 million. It's extremely expensive. We are saving Sandy Bay. The original assessment for Sandy Bay was close to $10 million. It's almost $50 million now, because as people studying it and they're doing the designs, nature is not waiting on you. And some of the designs take a long time because you don't have all the skill sets, so you end up paying even more. We're doing a project there now to save Sandy Bay. It's going to end up to over $50 million in 3 lots. If you go there, you'll see we're doing 2 lots at the moment, and there's a... So we need marine engineers. We just had a young lady who came back. She did civil engineering at University of the West Indies, and she did marine engineering with at Imperial College in London, which is one of the top schools in the United Kingdom. We managed able to hold her, so we can't always hold them. But I need all of those immediately. No, of course. I need different specialists in medicine and all the specialities, and I need specialities in nursing, because when I have 2 or 3 very skilled nurses who take care of the operating theaters and I lose them to Leeds or somewhere else, I have to start back afresh again, and so on and so forth and so on. But we're training a lot, we're losing a lot, but those are the areas which I will tell you straight off.
Thank you, Prime Minister. We'll take one more question, and then I'll ask one more from online. And Marion and Chris, if I can ask you to just get a book, collate questions with the person's email address, telephone numbers if possible, then we can send them by email to PM, and he will, I'm sure, gladly answer them. Okay, so one more question, please.
Hello. Hi, good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Wait, sorry?
Oh, Candy, okay. Okay, you and then Candy, okay? Thank you, sir.
Good night, Prime Minister. It's a pleasure to see you. I have a concern about my father-in-law in St Vincent. He's in the hospital. He needs blood, and his foot is very, very bad. And I've tried to send many people to the hospital to give blood, but it's either the blood is low, pressure or something. And because of that, they sent him home 3 times, mainly just to die. But that foot is like rotten, it's decaying. And that's a concern for me. And my wife, she's not coping well here.
Well, if you write the name of your dad for me, and whoever is the caretaker,
okay,
I will phone them tomorrow to find out what is the full story and who they have been dealing with, and see if I can get in touch with the chief medical officer.
Okay.
I go back home in any case on Wednesday night. I'll be back home on Wednesday night.
Okay, sir.
That day after tomorrow. But I could if I get it on my way down from Wycombe to London, I could call, because it's 5 hours difference, so that...
Yes.
4 hours, sorry. If it's 10 o'clock, it will be 6 o'clock there, still will be able to get somebody. But my security officer can take the numbers.
Okay.
Station Sergeant Horn is here.
Thank you, sir. And I just come back from St Vincent. It's a lovely place. I did full joy myself there, but just the hospital going back and forth because of his situation. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Candy, please. Marion and Chris, can I ask you just to get a book ready, okay? And one of you just, probably Marcella, somebody from the National Council can help you to collate. Thank you. Thank you, Candy.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Hi. Prime Minister, my name is Candy Sharma. Some of you know me, I'm a DJ and an artist and so on. I'm the first female DJ of Vincy Mass, big up Purple Army. So many of us were actually in St Vincent this year when the beryl happened and struck us. And a lot of us did our own independent charitable works and donations. And I was able to do mine through a lot of the help and support of people here in the UK, Vincentians in the UK. And I wanted to ask, what advice would you give for a second generation Vincentian who wants to return, wants to do things, wants to support and continue the charitable works, who maybe doesn't have the connects of the party that are over here, the organizations, the mainstream organizations, but wants to continue?
Well, first of all, from a purely legal standpoint, as you are aware, we have passed a law in Parliament which now allows for second-generation Vincentians to get citizenship. You apply, actually a number of persons have been applying, including, I must tell you, athletes, footballers in the United Kingdom who are good enough to play for a first division side, but who can't make the English team, but who could make the Vincy Heat team, and who want to have the experience to play football competitively, not only between clubs, but between nations. So that's one. And secondly, depending on the particular area which you want to do, there are several state agencies which can help you. If it's a question you want to invest, from what you're telling me there, you work in the field of culture and entertainment. There is first of all, the one-stop Invest SVG, but there's also the cultural department where there is a cultural coordinator for the purposes of business, as distinct. It used to be Rodney Small in charge, it's now Bomani, since Rodney has been put somewhere else. So there are institutional arrangements with which you can make your connection. And if you try to get them, you can't get them, you send me, I will send it to them. And tell you that I've sent it to them so you could follow up to them.
I know both of them, so I would ask them.
Huh?
I know both of them, so I'll ask them, but I'll tell them you sent me.
Absolutely. Tell the comrades send you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Candy. I just have one last question. If I can just ask the National Council staff to just assist Marion and Christopher in collating questions. Please take telephone numbers, email addresses, and questions, please. Right, so the last question for this evening will be from online. How can we, Prime Minister, sir, an individual get access to the port development in Kingstown? We have land directly facing the current port car park, not sure whether to sell or to develop.
Well, I wouldn't want to offer business advice in the general, but I will tell you, anybody who has land close to the port, the building of the port carries the price of the land up to the sky. I could tell you that straight off. And it's really what you want to do. If you want to hold it a little while longer, you want to sell it. The government has been buying bits and pieces of property because we have to put in a lot of facilities additional to what are there for the port. This thing is going to be, this port when it's finished, it's going to be phenomenal. It's going to cost, as I say, $250 million US. It is, you know, just to say this, there was a time when you do a project. The old days, I know if you build something for $500,000, you would hear the government of the day dancing and singing, and they want everybody to do the lambada. $500,000? That's a joke. 4,000, 4 million, 5 million. No big thing. I mean, the hospital, to build it is 80 million US. Then you equip it for the 20 million. That's $100 million. That's 270 million EC dollars. The port, $250 million. That's 600 and something million dollars EC. Sandals, $250 million. The 92-room Holiday Inn, which is opening on the 22nd of this month, in 11 days' time, with 92 rooms. That's 50 million US plus. the one which we are going to build on the Marriott, where we're working with some investors from overseas, the state and ourselves, about 150 million US. These are the numbers which you're talking about. You know, I tell you just now about the sea defenses, the river defenses. The numbers are just humongous. Things which we are doing, some money which we borrowed from Saudi Arabia to do some cultural hubs, cultural production hubs. The numbers are just out of the sky. And we are attracting a significant amount of investments. The real problem is this with us, is that we have these natural disasters which we have to divert resources, we have to cope with. And then we have problems of capacity constraints, some technical, some critical technical skills, which are in short supply. And one final thing, which I talk about, people take it like a joke. While I don't want women under the age of 25 before they're starting to go university and so on to start to have children, but the women between 25 and 35 are not having enough children. I know. Statistically, you need to have on an average 2.1 children to keep the population as it is. Otherwise, what you're going to have happening, you're going to have a lot of old people and not enough young people working to take care of the older ones. It's a problem in the Western world. We see the problem in Japan. We see the problem in Korea. These numbers are going down to 1. St Vincent and Grenadines, we are now about 1.5, 1.6 on an average per woman. I know women, modernity and the jobs, and they may go for 1 or 2.1 on an average. That means some will have 3. But you will remember that I tell you this: if you don't address that, in 2050 we're going to have a problem. We start to have a problem. Meanwhile, Africa is expanding. Nigeria is now 232 million. Ethiopia is now 135 million. Egypt is 116 million. And these countries are increasing their population. And that's why in the United States of America and in Britain and in Western Europe, they want to keep out the migrants, but they want the migrants. Because a lot of these migrants are young people, most of them, and they are childbearing age in need, but they have a problem because they don't want, some people want to make America white again. And it's a complicated issue, but I put that out there for your reflection and for you to think about. I know the women say that the problem is not they're ready, but some of the men, the dotish, and this and that, all kind of complications you get. I don't want to get into that. All I have to say, I know the result, that there's a declining birth rate, way below the 2.1 on an average per woman required. Yeah, but my mother had 10. It wasn't easy to feed them. But we a cost of what? or the cause of woman. Well, you're getting me in a conversation, you know, where I ain't going. I ain't going in that conversation.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our Prime Minister. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Rudy, would you like to say a few words? I can give you a minute. While Rudy makes his way to the stage, I just want to say happy birthday to Samara, our beauty queen, if you stand. It's her birthday today. She was going out to party. I called her last minute and she dropped everything just to be here today. So I think we should just quickly say, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Samara. Happy birthday to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. On behalf of the PM, the High Commission, the National Council, and everybody here and everybody watching, happy birthday, my darling, and thank you, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rudi Eckermann, the Honorary Consul of St Vincent and the Grenadines in Germany. The wow is that I'm very, very proud to serve this beautiful island nation and all your fellow citizens who live in Germany. We have actually, in the meantime, a flock of 30 people. 30 people, and you know, just 6 weeks.
I think the word in English is group of people, not flock.
I always tell them, you know, an honorary consul is like a shepherd.
All right.
He's like a shepherd.
All right.
And the citizens I take care of are my flock. And 4 weeks ago, a banker from Munich called me. And he told me that he has 8 children. I was first thinking, why is he calling me and telling me that? Perhaps he has mistaken the telephone number, but no. His mother was a citizen of St. Vincent. And Germany has just recently changed its citizen laws. Since June, you can now actually obtain another citizenship without losing your German one. And now he wanted to ask whether he could become also a citizen of St. Vincent, including his 8 children. And then I told him, you know, you are asking the shepherd to increase his flock.
If they come back to St. Vincent, that will be 4 times the requirement for each one.
This is what I was thinking. But you know, also Prime Minister, you said many, many right things. But one thing you once mentioned, actually, I always keep very close to me. You said that you don't want anyone in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to go to bed hungry. This is what you once said. And this is, to me, a statement that is very bold. And that is something I also try to help to promise. But you know what is sometimes really devastating is that the deeper the pockets of a person are, the shorter his arms. It is... You know, I once spoke, Senior is my witness, I once spoke to an income billionaire in Germany. And I talked to him for months for a donation for children. And you know, and then he called me after half a year of effort and he said, you know, Rudi, I have been thinking, would 500 euros meet the case? And I was thinking, you know, don't you feel ashamed of yourselves? The day will come where you will have to actually account to your Maker. And he will ask you, what have you done in your life? And then you have to answer, I gave St Vincent and the Grenadines for the poor children 500 euros. Are you kidding me? He beefed up a little bit. But the learning lesson is that what the Prime Minister so rightfully had said, we must keep trying. It will not fall from the sky. And, where we can all together be very proud of, even though St. Vincent is a small country, but we have a government, we have a Prime Minister who actually could rule a far bigger country because he's a good man, he's a bright man, and he has a good heart. So I'm very, very proud to serve this country. And I hope that I have soon the possibility to check the water temperature in St. Vincent again. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rudy Ackerman. Thank you. High Commissioner will just want to say a few words.
I wasn't going to ask for a second bite of the cherry. I had my first bite. But I need to tell you something about Rudy Ackerman. You see, you may not know this. I've set up a charity to assist children of parents in need in St. Vincent, Grenadines, and so on. But let me tell you, one of the major contributors to that charity is Rudy Ackerman. And the thing is, he doesn't do it once. He does it over and over again. Thank you, Rudy.
Thank you, High Commissioner, sir. Right, we'll now call on Kimberly Duggan, Admin Attaché to the High Commission. Firstly, she'll do a little presentation, and then she'll then give some awards. Okay, thank you. Please welcome Kimberly. You see how our Vincy woman them pretty? She deserves a louder clap than that. Come on, my people.
Good evening, everyone. Honorable Prime Minister, Mrs. Gonsalves, High Commissioner, Chair of the National Council, and Chair of WMCO, distinguished guests, nationals, and friends, good evening. I'm here to discuss why young people should join associations in the United Kingdom, particularly young Vincentians. The Greek philosopher Aristotle once said that man is a gregarious animal. This means that man is a social animal that thrives best in groups. It is because of man's social nature that civilization has advanced to the extent that it is today. When I speak of man, it is not gender specific, but refers to human beings in general. Young persons in the UK who have links to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, whether it be that they were born in SVG and emigrated here, or that they were born here of Vincentian parentage, ought to have interest in what is happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I am sure that most, if not all, young persons in the UK who have some link to SVG would like to keep abreast with what is happening there. Well, I am here today to ignite that patriotic fire in young persons with a Vincentian connection. SVG needs you to take your rightful place in the scheme of things. You, like any other person with Vincentian connection, living in any other part of the world, have a right and responsibility to look out for SVG and be a faithful advocate to your country of origin. The message I want to give to you young persons today is that there's a way you can keep in touch on a regular basis with other persons with Vincentian connections and with what is happening at home. Also, the opportunity will be made available to you to make your contribution to the general advancement of your country of origin. Man will always gravitate to gatherings of people and oftentimes be influenced by the company he keeps. Today, I'm trying to direct the young people to associations with particular bias. That bias being to bring persons of Vincentian origin together on a regular basis so that they can carry out work in the interest of furthering the development of St Vincent and the Grenadines by building and strengthening ties, where possible, between entities in SVG and the UK. There are numerous associations that young persons of Vincentian origin can join in the UK that will offer them an opportunity to do what was just mentioned. I am urging all who need to know what these associations are, particularly the young persons, to get in touch with the Office of the High Commission for St Vincent and the Grenadines in the United Kingdom at 10 Kensington Court. Before we look at the reasons why people should join associations, I need to mention that at least one person, Christine Bergeron, has been looking at what associations must do to attract young members. Christine Bergeron of Vancouver, Canada, a highly respected strategic and value-based leader who has more than 25 years' experience building and leading financial firms, where she guided their strategic development, had some words of wisdom for associations. She said that very soon, Gen Z, that is the generation of persons born between mid-1990s and 2010s, and millennials like myself, persons born between 1981 and 1996, will soon dominate most of the job force around the world. And for associations to stay relevant, they will have to attract younger members. They will have to do this by better understanding their motivations. Ms. Bergeron said that many young people today are career-driven. That is, looking to advance their professions, and before they join any association, they take into consideration the extent to which membership of the association will advance their area of training and raise their awareness. She made the point that if younger persons are encouraged to become members of associations by recognizing what motivates them and widening the association's scope of activity to cater for those motivations, then that would lead to success and longevity of the associations. Now let's be a little more specific as to some reasons why young people should join associations in the UK. 1, information sharing. Generally, it is natural for human beings to interact with one another in groups, to deal with a variety of issues and to share information. Specifically, as it relates to associations in the United Kingdom that concern themselves with matters relative to SVG. It is important for persons generally, but young persons in particular, with connections to St Vincent, to join one or more of these associations. While persons in an older group will have a more intimate knowledge of St Vincent and the Grenadines, younger persons will be less inclined to know the matters related to St Vincent and the Grenadines. It is therefore through interactions with persons, particularly older persons, that they are likely to meet while being a member of an association, that their knowledge of and interest in SVG will develop. 2, networking opportunities. Networking can be in-person or virtual, or both types of networking are necessary in order to make an association effective. Many persons, or many of the discussions that take place at the official meeting place, lead to spin-off discussions during virtual networking, and many decisions taken at the official meeting place is usually refined away from the meeting place during virtual networking. Networking, using the most modern communication technology, is the preferred method of communicating for many young persons. Becoming a member of an association provides the ideal situation for setting the stage for young persons to engage in virtual networking and continually being fed information about what is happening in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Associations can only survive if there is a healthy networking, whether it is in person or virtual, and the advancement in technology has indeed provided new opportunities for greater involvement of young people in associations. 3, community outreach. The Vincentian Diaspora Association in the United Kingdom also have a community outreach aspect to their activities, where they try to build and strengthen ties where possible between entities in SVG and entities in the United Kingdom. There is an area of the association's forward outlook that should be vigorously pursued, and young members can play a very important role in this area. What is to prevent young members of the associations from arousing their English friends' interest in St. Vincent and the Grenadines? By telling them of the magnificent beaches in the Grenadines, or the lush vegetation and the cascading waterfalls in the interior of mainland St. Vincent, and sharing photographs of these picturesque areas with those friends. Certainly, this could have significant spill-offs for the tourism industry. 4th, leadership development. Youth engagement in association nurtures a sense of civic and social responsibility and builds character. Such engagement helps to make young people emotionally stronger, more independent, and better at handling problems. They become confident in their decision-making and are so empowered by such engagement that gradually their leadership skills developed. And last but not least, mentorship. Research has found that young persons are of the view that mentorship opportunities are vital to their professional and personal success. We should never underestimate how important it is to a young person to emulate someone who in their minds is a living example of the kind of person they would like to be. As such, it is incumbent on associations to try, as far as possible, to pair young persons coming into their associations with older, experienced members who may share similar interests and even similar career paths. This sort of pairing is sure to have positive effects in terms of attracting young persons to associations. In closing, I'd just like to thank all those persons who for many years, for example, Denise, Diana, Chair of the National Council, Chair of WIMCO, Brian Lewis, and others, for many years who have been faithful members of many associations in the United Kingdom, which have been doing tremendous work, in keeping St. Vincent and the Grenadines flag flying here in the United Kingdom. Thank you. We'd like to now present the certificates of honor from the High Commission of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to the following persons: Ms. Cynthia Herbert Fraser, Santika.
That's my girl. That's my girl.
Mr. Akil Karuth.
Yes, ma'am.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Kimberly Dogan. Thank you. We'll now have a short presentation done by the Treasurer of the National Council of St. Vincent and the Grenadines Associations UK, Marcella John, to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves and Mrs. Gonsalves. If I can ask the beauty queens to please come and make the presentations on our behalf. I believe we'll do Mrs. Gonsalves first. Thank you. Have you got the writing? Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Right. So firstly, we have a collection of books from the writers of St Vincent and the Grenadines, UK, to be presented to Mrs. Gonsalves. Thank you. Stand, Elsa, just stand for the picture. Thank you. Thank you. Now we'll ask Samara to present a poem written in Garifuna by Adonis, who is one of the writers of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The poem is actually in Garifuna, and there's also the translation in English. I'm not too sure if PM, PM, are you good at reading Garifuna?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, you've got the English version as well. Thank you.
I want to thank my dear sister, my two sisters, really. When she came to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we had her and her mom to lunch at the cabinet. And we were very, very pleased. We had a wonderful time.
Yes.
She's so beautiful.
She does. And it's her
She's-
birthday.
And happy birthday.
Thank
You know, they are so beautiful.
Yes.
There's a poet, Hilton Vaughan, born in Barbados, born in Dominican Republic of Bajan parents. He had gone to the Dominican Republic. His parents had gone to the Dominican Republic to work in the sugar industry. Came back, he was quite a Renaissance man. And after the anti-colonial uprisings in the 1930s, he decided to write a poem in the 1940s called Revelation, where he uses the Caribbean woman as a synonym for what's magnificent in the civilization, and compares her quite favorably to Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships. It could be the Caribbean woman, it could be the Sudanese woman. And the poem says this: turn sideways now and let them see what loveliness escapes the schools. Then turn again and smile and be the perfect answer to those fools who always prate of Greece and Rome, the face that launched 1,000 ships and such like things, but keep tight lips for burnished beauty nearer home. Yeah. Turn in the sun, my love, my love. I swear I prize thy dusky limbs above my life. What laughing eyes, what gleaming hair, what poise, what palm-like grace. Revelation.
Our Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, and Lady Gonsalves, I hope you will accept this little token of appreciation on behalf of the National Council of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, UK. We always appreciate your visit in the UK. We love your company, the jokes that you made, the seriousness, the informative, the information that you're giving to us. And we just hope that you will be coming again to see us soon. Don't stay too long. We really appreciate having you here. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Stand up for a picture. Thank you, Marcelo John. I will now like to call on Carolyn de Freitas Shaw, Councillor from the High Commission. Everybody knows Carolyn, don't they? If you don't know her by name, if you don't know her by face, you know her by name. So can I ask you all to put your hands together and welcome Carolyn de Freitas Shaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. On behalf of the High Commission for St Vincent and the Grenadines in London and the National Council for St Vincent and the Grenadines Associations in the UK, we wish to thank Dr. the Honourable Ralph Gonsalves, Prime Minister, for taking time out of his busy schedule to provide us with another enlightening and thought-provoking address. We always say he's very entertaining when he comes here, and I know he's very much loved by all the nationals. And beside every great man is his rock, providing unwavering support. So thank you, Mrs. Gonsalves, for accompanying the Prime Minister and always remaining at his side, as well as adding a touch of glamour to this occasion. We'd like to thank the High Commissioner, Mr. Senior, His Excellency, Mr. Senior Lewis, and Ms. Deanna Stapleton, Chair of the National Council for St Vincent and the Grenadines Association, for organising the meeting. Brian Lewis and the members of Wmco for facilitating and hosting this meeting. Ms. Emma Reynolds MP for her kind words and welcome to High Wycombe. Minister Rosemarie Artman for her spiritual contribution and beautiful singing. Ethan De Silva for his recital of Together We Rise, written by David De Silva, I understand. Kimberly Duggan for her encouragement and lighting the fire for young Vincentians to join associations and keeping our history and culture alive for another generation growing up in the diaspora. Also, I'd like to thank Isa Crossvale and Samara Tellersford, as well as Marcella John, for the presentation of the gifts to the Prime Minister, Mrs. Gonsalves. NBC Radio, Star FM, Vinci Internet Radio, and various other social media platforms who agreed to broadcast this meeting. Our technical team, Joel Thomas and Zach Thomas, streaming and PA hire, for all their invaluable assistance and flexibility, because I know there was lots of last-minute changes. And I'm going to say a special thank you for Lennox and his team for the refreshments, particularly because he said he's provided vegetarian food for me. Finally, I wish to thank everyone here for coming out tonight, and all of you, wherever you may be, at home or somewhere else, listening and viewing this broadcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carolyn de Freitas Shaw. How are we feeling? My job is done. My job is done. It was indeed an honor being the MC for today's meeting. I hope I haven't bored you all, and I hope, well, you guys certainly didn't bore me. What an audience you've been. Thank you all very much for taking the time out for coming here today at such short notice. I hope that you can go away with lots that the PM has actually told us. Let's all work together to try and lift St Vincent and make it stronger. For those of you who are not members of any organizations, any of the associations, can I ask you please to reach out? Marion is at the doorway. Give her your details. We'll then collate them and invite you all. We have associations in Oxford, where obviously High Wycombe, Luton, Reading, London, etc., etc. Okay, so reach out, okay? Thank you all very much. I'll now invite Brian Lewis to close. It's been an honor. Thank you all.
Thank you, Deanna. So there's one special person in our community I want to recognize. His son's here, and there's a guy, a man called Percival Hector. He's 105 years old. 105 years old. His son is there. Stand up, Vibert. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it tonight, but hopefully he'll make it to the Christmas party. We've got a special Christmas party that's free for anybody that's of pension age. You're invited.
What's his last name?
You're invited. Hector. So his name is Percival Hector.
From
Right, but tell me which village? Who? Hopewell village.
I know the family.
He knows the family. Of course he knows the family.
You actually, you have hectares also in Greg's. You have hectares just a little bit above in Greg's. Yes, I know the family.
Okay, so hopefully we'll get a letter from the Prime Minister that's, we can present to him on the day. But anybody that's over 67, it's going to be a free Christmas dinner, December the 14th. Okay, so before you go, so there's a tab behind the bar. The High Commissioner's kindly put a tab behind the bar. Oh, it's finished. Okay, it's finished. We had more people than we expected. But before you go, there's refreshments, there's food, there's some cakes in the back as well. And there's Lennox, he'll take some more food orders if you need. But have a safe journey home. I wish the Prime Minister and his young, lovely wife a safe trip home. I hope we see you again next year. And I want to thank everybody for coming and have a safe trip home. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.